everyone, welcome to Graceful Convos. And today I'm going to be introducing a series, and this series is called The Process. This topic is very dear to me because it's something that I struggled with, but after the Lord really sat me down and spoke to me and walked me through it, I began to have a love for it, and to the point where whoever I meet, I'm telling them, go through the process, go through the process, because it's so needed. And I just want to be able to share that with everyone here. Um, yes. So we're going to jump right into it. But yeah, let me get myself comfortable so we can jump right into it. So, the process. Many times we hear the process, and what comes with it is negative connotations. Like, we hear negative things about it. We think of the process as a grueling, long duration, long training, where it sounds like punishment, and it sounds like disfavor, and it sounds like God is angry with us because He's stopping us from entering something and calling us to pause and, debrief things. But I've come to learn that the process is not all that bad. It actually is a good thing. And it actually benefits us more than we know. So what is the process? To me, the process is God's way of upgrading us. He's upgrading us to be a weapon of war. That is what the process means to me. Um, yes. So the process is where God is upgrading us to be a weapon of war in the enemy's camp. Because what happens is when he takes you through the fire, because the process is the fire, the burning, it's where things are stripped off of you, things are transformed, things are removed. So, and better things, basically, the process is where bad things are removed and good things are now stored and replaced in you. It's where you go through a series of events, where you go through a consecrated period where God is able to remove layers of filth off of you, and allows the beauty that's built in within you to come out. That to me is what the process is. I see the process as a transformation. It's a cycle, and it's a season, and it's a session where God is able to stop. I see the process as a incubation period where God is able to remove things in you that would hinder you, things that would slow you down, things that would stop you from being your best self. And it's where He starts to pull out the golds, the beauty that lies within you, and where He's able to put His characteristics in you. So I see it as a transformational thing. And the process is not all that bad. The process is not all that bad. So now we're going to jump straight into it, right? So there are different types of processes that one will go through. Some processes take longer, some take shorter. And it really depends on what God is actually trying to do with you and where He's trying to take you. Okay. So in Joshua chapter 5, verse 8 to 9, we find that the children of Israel have to go through a process. It's my notes because I don't want to misquote anything. So in Joshua chapter 5, verse 8 to 9, to where the children of Israel have to go through a process. In order for the second, so basically what happened is the first generation, when they got to the wilderness. Sorry guys, I got a call. This process is the removal of generational curses that were passed down to you. So one of the first processes that I'll be talking about is found in Joshua chapter 5, verse 8 to 9. And this is where the children of Israel had to go through a process. Now, the first generation of the Israelites, after Moses, rescued them from Pharaoh, they were taken into the wilderness. And because of their impatience, they start to build their own gods. They built their own statue of their god. And as a result of that, they all died. And they couldn't go to the promised land. And what was left was the second generation, their children, their children's children, right? And the Lord told Joshua, before they could go to this new land, they all need to be circumcised. So that whatever disobedience, whatever lawlessness, whatever bad character trait that was on the fathers and the mothers does not transfer to them as they go into this new place. And this goes to tell you that before God sends you to the new, to the next level, to a new season, he's going to strip you. He's going to strip you of things that would have hindered you from entering this newness. Now, what are some bad things that were stripped from the second generation? Impatience, disobedience, laziness, procrastination, pride, and amongst other things. And one thing I know is that when God wants to use you, you cannot be prideful. You have to be humble. You literally have to die to self in order for God to use you. Light and dark can't mix. God is not able to use a vessel that is already filled. It has to be empty so that his whole entire spirit can flow through that empty vessel. And yes, so in order for the second generation to enter the new, they had to shed off things from the past and things passed down generationally. Because what God was calling them to do was never seen before. Nobody had ever been there before. And if they weren't careful, what hindered their ancestors could have hindered them from moving forward. And that is the same with you and I. Before we can go somewhere, God has to strip us from things that were passed on from our mothers, from our fathers, from our grandparents, because it would hinder us from doing what he called us to do. Your flesh, okay, before I get to that part, I'm going to share an instance with me. For example, if God is calling you to start your own business, right? To start your own business, and your family, all they saw growing up was a 9-to-5. All they know is working a 9-to-5. That is all you're going to know too. So when God is calling you to stop your regular 9-to-5 job and go start this business that I dropped in your head, he's calling you to entrepreneurship, you're going to fight him. You're going to be like, I'm not doing that. Fear automatically will step in. You're going to be like, I'm not doing that. No one taught me about this. Nobody in my family has ever had their own business. I don't know any entrepreneurs in my bloodline, in my family. Nobody, and I know that's doing this. So why are you calling me to leave what I'm used to and what I've seen growing up to go and start something new? Fear automatically sets in. And that is why when God is calling you to something new, he separates you and he isolates you so that he can take away traits and things that would hinder you from doing this new thing. In the process, God is going to deal with that fear, that spirit of fear that doesn't want you to start something new. He's going to take away the pride. He's going to take away the control. That's just an example. And when you enter this new thing, your flesh will fight his spirit. So he has to do some cleansing of this system so he can input a new one. In this process, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt because everything that you knew to be true, everything that you were used to is going to be debunked and removed. Everything that you thought, like the normalcy, like the routine, he will break it up. In the process, God will break up routines. He will break up traditions. He will break up control. He will break up systems. He will break up the order of the day, the order of the bloodline, and he will create something new. And none of those things are easy. When it comes to something new, it's not easy. So let's go on to the next section. The second process I'll be talking about is found in Job chapter 13, verse 15, and James 1 to 12. So this one is about the fire that you will have to go through. Let me back up for this one. So there's a testing and a fire you have to undergo to see if your yes is unshakable. There's a fire that you'll go through to test your loyalty to God. This one, before I even share Job's example, I'm going to talk about me real quick. Actually, no, let's talk about Job. We all know that Job was chosen by God to be tested by the devil. And he said, I have a righteous son, and his name is Job. You can take out and you can try him and test him. You can test him and try him. And he said, you can take away everything that he has, but just don't touch his life. Don't take him away. Don't kill him, right? And we all know the story of Job, where he lost everything. They took away his children, his goods, his finances, his fortunes, everything. Let me pause this so I can see what it looks like. So God volunteered Job to show the devil that he had some solid ones and some loyal sons. And Job passed the test. Now, for us, we are going to go through a season where God will call you, and you will have the decision to say, yes, Lord, I will serve you, or no, I will not. In the circumstance where you say yes to God, God will test that yes. And know that every yes comes with weight. Your yes is weighty. And you won't know the weight and magnitude of your yes until you go through the process, right? In Job's case, he lost his children, he lost his goods, he lost everything that he knew. He even had leprosy. And in the testing, when God tests your yes, he's going to take away things that are so valuable to you, things that you hold so dear to your heart, you know? And when this fire comes, when this testing comes, you might even be confused. If you're not aware to see that God is testing you for your loyalty and your yes to God, you might be confused when you see things start happening. When you lose your job, when you lose a loved one, when you lose your job, when you lose your finances, when you're in a season where nothing is going on for you, where it's literally given like you're a bum, it is in that season you'll be confused and you'll ask God, why am I going through this? Did I do something wrong? Did I sin? What did I do wrong? And this is things that Job even asked God too. He was confused. He was like, I serve you righteously. I don't cheat when it comes to my tithes. I don't steal from you. Everything you ask for, I do. I'm very obedient. So what is this siege? What is this that the enemy is doing? And so it is with us. When we find ourselves in certain fires, we are often confused as to why God is doing something. But I want to tell you, do not be discouraged, because God is volunteering you. He is using you as an example to show the enemy that he has loyal sons and daughters, that he has a remnant. Give me 1 second. I feel like I hear something behind me. I don't like that I'm in the sun like this. Okay, sorry. Back to regular programming. So it is in those seasons that God will volunteer you to show the devil that he indeed has a loyal remnant. And this remnant will not give up or curse him when things get hard, when things are against you, when your odds aren't in your favor. He's going to show the devil that I have solid ones. So basically, God is volunteering you and using you as an example to shut the mouth of the enemy. So do not be discouraged and do not grow weary when you find yourselves in various trials. In James, or one of the scriptures, it says, count it all joy when you find yourselves in trials and in tribulations, because it'll bring forth fruit. It'll bring forth much fruit, and you'll get a reward out of that. I'll insert the scripture underneath. And like that. So for God, I wrote this down. So for God to volunteer you, it shows that he knows you can be trusted to stand for him and he knows you can shut the mouth of the enemy. So think it not strange when you find yourself in an unusual siege. And I'll share a personal testimony of mine. I remember at one point when I gave God my yes, back in 2019, 2020, I gave God my yes. And I was just so on fire. I was like, God, I say yes to your will. Whatever you want me to do, I will do it, Lord. I will do it. And unbeknownst to me, I had to go through a process. At the time, I didn't even know what a process was. I didn't know that one had to go through a series of trials or fire. So I'll share an encounter that I had. So in 2019, shortly after I said my yes, I started to operate in the gifts that God gave me, the gift of prophecy. And I was just, just so on fire. And after that, he was telling me to go to this church, the church that I'm at now. And before he said that, guys, okay, yeah. So when he was telling me to go to this church, unbeknownst to me, this is where the process began. He was trying to take me to the process. And I was like, he told me to leave the group that I was in. He said that the group that I was in, the community that I was in, was going to end, and he was sending me to this church. And I was like, I'm not going to that church. I'm staying with this group forever. Like, I'm growing here. Like, I feel good. I feel like myself again. I'm on fire for you. Like, I'm good here. I don't need to go anywhere else. And he said, I'm sending you to the church because you need more stability and you need to grow there. And me, guys, I was so I still was not understanding what he was trying to tell me. So I thought I knew it all. I thought I was invincible. I thought I had arrived. And one thing that my first lady and my apostle always say is, you never arrive in the school of the Spirit. Okay, so always remain humble. There's always something to learn. And guys, I had to learn that the hard way. So basically, God told me to go, and I was like, I'm not going. I'm good here. I'm comfortable. This is why you got to be careful when it comes to comfortability. Never, ever get comfortable. Okay? So God was telling me to leave this thing. I was like, no. Guys. So I continued to lead prayers and good. I felt like I didn't need anything else because my prayer life was lit. It was good. The fire on my altar was lit. And guys, not long after, I think probably a month, maybe not even a month. I can't remember. I think it was a month. Yeah. I think I had put up a post and testified, and I thank God forgive me 5 months of abstinence, right? I didn't backslide. 5 months of no backsliding. And shortly after that, I backslid. And one thing also my first lady always says is, do not testify on something that you haven't fully been delivered from, right? So after that, do not speak on something that you haven't been fully delivered from, because you will be tested. And guys, I learned that the hard way too. So after that, where did I leave off at? What was I saying? Yeah, shortly after that, I backslid. I didn't backslide not once, multiple times. So guys, I found myself in the sheets, wrapped up in the sheets. And I remember the very last time that encounter happened, I no longer saw the person in front of me, but I seen an actual demon. And I was done. And that last time, guys, my face actually shifted. And I remember calling my friend and I was like, this is what happened. I backslid, and look at my face. She was like, your glory was taken from you. I didn't even know that could happen. There was so much things that I did not know that I was engaging in, So then after that, once I saw how hard I backslid, I said, all right, God, I'm going to go to where you said, and, I surrendered. Guys, the day that I entered the church, Apostle was speaking exactly on my situation, exactly what I needed. And I was like, oh, dang, God, Okay, you know what you was talking about. Shortly after that, long story short, I became a member, and I've been going there for 5 years now, and it truly is training me for where God is sending me. It truly has given me the stability that I need, that I needed back then and that I need now, and where I'm going as well. So God knew exactly what he was talking about. And this, a lesson that I learned too, is that when you delay to do what God has told you to do, you will fall into temptation. You will backslide. You will do things. You will find yourself back in your vomit, eating your vomit. So to prevent you from backsliding, do exactly what God is telling you to do. Do not hinder it. Do not delay it. Don't ask questions. Just ask him to give you the courage to do what he is asking you to do. And do not let fear put you back into the pit that God delivered you from. Yes. So basically, my yes was tested. And one thing about God, he is a God of action. When he says he's going to do something, he does it. And you being a child of God, you have to carry the same attributes. If you say you're going to do something, you need to do it. You need to stick with your answer. So me, when I say yes, I was going to do it, I try to back out. Once I seen the things that he was taking away from me and the things that he was calling me to do, oh my gosh, that's it. When God gives you insight of your future, he gives you insight of what you're going to be doing for him, it's going to scare you. It might scare you. If somebody told you that surrender is easy, they're lying to you. If somebody says following Christ is easy, they're lying to you. There is a grace to follow him. It's the best decision that you can do. But understand that kingdoms will clash when you are coming from dark to light. When you are leaving the kingdom of darkness and moving to the kingdom of light, there will be a fight. Because in the process, you're going to be stripped. Everything that will hinder you from being obedient to God's instructions, so what God's calling you to do, he is removing that. And it's going to hurt. Pruning hurts. Shedding skin hurts. But it's needed in order to see the beauty and the glory of God. So yeah, so I thought I could get away with certain things, and God was like, nope, you have to go through it. It's going to hurt, but at the end, you will thank me for it. You're going to thank God for what he's doing. And once I seen what it is that God was trying to take me to, I started to yield. I'm like, okay, God, if God is calling you to deliver people from addictions, sicknesses, all these things, he has to first allow you to go through these things so you can obtain keys. Once you obtain keys, aka the formula, aka the blueprint, aka the directions, you can now give it to somebody else so they too can be set free, and they can use those same rules and the same keys to go unlock someone else. And one thing I learned is that in the process, keys are formed in the process. Keys are formed in the wilderness. So do not despise when God has you going through certain afflictions, certain testings, and certain fires, because he is initially making you a key, a formula, and a blueprint to help deliver somebody else out. Yes. So when you find yourself in these type of trials and these type of fires and unusual sieges, consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself blessed. I'm sorry, not lucky. Consider yourself blessed when God calls you and allows you to go through certain things, because he truly does trust you to endure well. He trusts you to shame the enemy. He trusts you to endure well and become a line leader. You know, he trusts you to be a leader, and in the process, he's forming you to be a leader as well. You know, so don't grow weary. Don't think that you did something wrong. No, God is just, you're in alignment, and God is forming you to be a weapon of war. He's causing you to be the change agent, the one that will go into the pits of hell and deliver many souls back unto his kingdom. So be very blessed, you know. Another process that I'll be talking about is the process that you undergo to give birth to fruit, aka character development. During this process, you ask God to make you acceptable in his sight. And it is in this process that God makes you a wisdom magnet. So in life, when you go through certain things and you come out of it, you now have obtained wisdom. And with this wisdom, you can give it to somebody else. And they too, instead of them going through the same thing that you went through, as you give them this wisdom, they'll be able to dodge certain things, certain bullets, right? This sun is not helping me. Let me see if I can go somewhere else. Sorry, I had to change sceneries because the view. You're going to be going through a process, and this process is where the process that you undergo to give birth to fruit. There's a process that you're going to have to undergo to give birth to fruit, aka character development. This process is also grueling, like it also hurts as well, because it's where pride is removed. It's where shame is removed. It's where fear is removed. It's where things that you have adopted and saying that, oh, this is just me, attitudes and things that's been passed down negatively have passed down are now removed and stripped. And one thing, when you are doing something new, when you are changing a mind, there's going to be a fight, because light and dark cannot mix. So there's going to be a fight and a war to see which one will win, which one will last. And this part of the process is kind of hard. So there are many processes that you're going to have to you're going to be going through in this lifetime. Like, it's not just, the process is not a one-time thing, but it's something that you go through periodically from time to time. As God is elevating you, as he is taking you to a different level, as he is upgrading you, he's going to put you through a process. And like I said, a process is an incubation period, a period where God is stripping things off of you so that where he is taking you will not be delayed or hindered because of past scars and things that you've gotten into. Going through the process is very vital if you plan on doing things that God has told you to do. Going through the process is important so that when he's calling you to do something new, you don't back out, you don't run away from it, and you don't dismiss it, you know. I always say, even when it comes to the area of marriage, right? If God is calling you to break chains, he's calling you to create a new order of day in your bloodline. For example, if you know that in your family that there's bad marriages, that everyone in your family marry counterfeits, like people that will stifle them and stop them from doing what God has called them to do, you might struggle when it comes time for you to actually marry the one that God has ordained for you to marry. Know that your battle may not be like everybody else's. Their process may not be like yours. Yours might be hard because you are going against the grain. You are going against something that you were used to seeing. You're breaking a pattern. Breaking patterns are not easy. There are things that you have to break. Have you ever tried to break an iron bar? When you're trying to break an iron bar, it is hard. You have to hit it more than once. You even have to melt it at times. And it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just break with one hit. You have to keep hitting it profusely, many times. And it's just so funny when I say that you have to melt it sometimes to get through certain iron bars. Just like when you're praying against an altar, when you're praying against things, you're going to have to send fire. You yourself have to become fire. You know, you can't just be cold. You can't be a dull knife. You have to be a sharp knife. And that only happens through prayer and fasting. That's what the Bible says, to pray without ceasing. And when you know you are breaking a pattern, just know that the process won't be easy. It's going to hurt because God is trying to do something new, and it's never been done before. Creating trails are not easy. You have to mix cement, build cement. Building a road is not easy. So it takes time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes willingness. It takes drive. It takes focus. It takes determination as well. So just like when it needs to create a new pattern, a new bloodline, it takes a lot of effort. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. So I don't want you to be discouraged when you see that people are advancing and people are getting things easily. They don't have it as bad as you. That maybe what fought you is not what fights them. So everybody's process is going to be different. Everybody's process is different. I don't want you to be discouraged when you see yours is harder, when your consecration is different as well. Don't grow weary, because at the end, if you faint not, if you don't grow weary, you shall reap a harvest. You shall get that reward. You shall get that amazing marriage. And that's actually something that actually runs in my bloodline, where people marry counterfeits, where they are subverted because of who they married. So the journey has definitely not been easy for me. I even feel like I'm speaking too soon, but I can tell you I've been through some things. I have met the wrong ones. I have met those who have subverted my journey, who have subverted the call of God on my life, who have delayed what God has been calling me to do. And I don't blame them. I had to really, once I saw that it was a repetitive cycle, I took a step back. God set me aside and I said, Lord, show me what this is. Why do I keep making the wrong mistakes? Why do I keep falling for the wrong ones? Why do I keep wasting my time with time wasters and people that subvert me? What is this? This is deeper. And one thing, when you're trying to break something and when you're going through the process, God will reveal the root of things, the root cause of things, why you're making wrong decisions, why you're doing things that's not normal, why cycles are being repeated. So when I had to ask God, why am I doing the same things? Why am I repeating the same mistakes? That's when he started to unveil, it's a bloodline thing. This is not something that you're just willingly doing, but I'm about to hurry up and go because time is out. I wish I recorded here the whole time. This area looks good. But yeah, basically, I started to ask God, why was I making these mistakes? And that's when he revealed that it was a generational thing. It was a bloodline thing. Everybody that married wrong. And it's because they entered marriage blindly. They did not know. The person came off kind and good in the very beginning, but as they entered into the covenant, as they entered into marriage, the true color showed and they changed. They were nice now, but abusive later. And I went through that. And as I went through that, I grew tired. I actually investigated. I looked and I said, what's the name went through this? What's the name went through that? She went through that. He went through that. I'm not doing it. I'm not continuing that. So God had to take me through the process. God had to remove the demonic compassion that I had. He had to upgrade my mindset. He had to upgrade my worth. He had to show me my value. He had to tell you my worth, tell me my value. He had to tell me what a kingdom woman was. He had to morph me into this woman. And it was not easy breaking patterns and mindsets that you were trained to have, that they embedded in you, that passed on in your DNA. God had to do a whole shift in my system, in my DNA. And it wasn't easy, guys. I made mistakes. I fell into the same traps. And grace had to be extended to me. I had to extend grace to myself. I had to go through a number of deliverances, still do till this day, and to be rinsed. Because when you are doing something new, everything bad has to be flushed out so a cool fountain can go through. And I thank God for the house that I'm in now. I thank God for my pastors, my leaders, and for the community that I have, because it was through the teachings, through biblical sound teachings, that I was able to be set free from bad relationships, from counterfeits. It was where God transformed my mind. And now I know what to look for in a spouse. Now I know not to just casually fall into relationships due to love, or because I'm lacking something, or because I see people in it too. But I know now that there's a purpose. I am solely in a marriage to do God's will, to destroy the kingdom of darkness. I'm not just in it just for love and the benefits of it, because I know those things will come with it. But there's kingdom work to do, and that's why it's very important that, you investigate your life, investigate some of the cycles and toxic cycles that you're going through. See what it is, see what's wrong, and take time to walk it out with God. Take time to go through the process with God so that He can reveal to you what needs to be removed and what you need to fix. Another thing too is, don't be so quick to hold the mic. Don't be so quick to preach to the masses, to preach the gospel, when you know that you're still dealing with wounds. One of the worst things you can do is talk to someone and you have an open wound, like you're bleeding everywhere and pus is even coming out from the pimples. I think you need to take time aside and allow the great physician to do a work in you. Allow him to remove the gunk, remove the blood, cover up some wounds, stitch up some things, in your life. Allow him to heal what needs to be healed, because if you're not careful, you could really preach poison onto people. You can feed them poison. So I always say, before you go and you preach on something, before you give someone advice, check your heart. Allow God to sift your heart and scan you. Allow Him to show you, hey, there's something here, you need to fix it. And before you can be a blessing onto somebody, allow God to help you and make you a blessing. Allow him to make you a blessing. Like, you don't just become a blessing overnight. You have to go through some trials. You have to go through some heartaches. You have to go through some misfortunes. You have to go through tragedy. You have to go through some of these things in order for you to be a blueprint to someone else. And I'm going to wrap it up right here, and we'll continue on in part 2, because we said a lot. And I pray that what I've said so far has blessed you, and that, what you're going through, it's not new. Some of the temptations that you're going through, it's not new. People have gone through it too. Some people just don't speak on it, but 9 times out of 10, the person next to you has gone through what you have gone through. And I want you to take heart when you're going through a process, because God is truly making you a blessing for someone else. And to know that people will bathe in the oil that you were pressed for, that you were crushed for, it'll leave a joy inside you, because it's going to be like, yo, God, you did that through me. You allowed me to help someone else out. You allowed me to allow others to be set free. And that alone is an amazing feeling. It's a blessing. And I think that's enough for you to be able to surrender, yield to what God is trying to do. So yes, I pray that this has blessed you so far. Stay tuned for episode 2, part 2, that'll be coming out very soon. All right, God bless you. Bye.